Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner talked about a decline in consumer spending and a drop in small business optimism during an appearance before the House Small Business Committee this week. The focus of the hearing was the difficulties small businesses are having getting funding. Geithner blamed the recession, specifically citing the impact on construction businesses and community banks. The secretary said the administration is trying to help pass things like tax breaks and regulatory reform. He urged Congress to help give owners more access to credit.
We've already approved 10 states for the state credit initiative, including the announcement today that Kansas will receive funding to spur more than $132 million in small business lending. Now, these capital programs are one of the most cost-effective ways we know that Congress can help encourage small business lending, because every dollar of capital that Congress provides can be leveraged to support lending that's many multiples of the government's investment.
Republican Congressman Sam Graves from Missouri is the chairman of the House Small Business Committee. Welcome back to the show, Congressman.
Thank you, JJ.
So tell me, what was your impression of the hearing?
Well, I mean, we were trying to just get some information, and the Secretary came in and talked about his impressions of some of the programs that Congress has passed and whether or not they're working. And then, again, an overview of kind of the state of the economy as it pertains to small business.
And what programs do you think are working?
Well, you know, it's hard to tell because there's so much apprehension out there in terms of small business. They're concerned about what their taxes are going to be when the current extensions expire. They're concerned about what health care is going to cost them. They are concerned about regulation and some of the things that some of the agencies are implementing through regulatory authority. They're concerned about all those things. So what we're seeing is a lot of small businesses are simply holding back. They're keeping a lot of capital in reserve, and they're not expanding. So there's a lot of apprehension out there.
Yeah, you know, that's what I want to talk about, because we've spent so much time and we read a lot about access to funding. When I talk to bankers, a lot of times what they say to me is, look, we're not getting good applicants. There's definitely an issue on the regulatory side. But what they're also saying to me is, we're not getting good applicants. And when I talk to small businesses, some of them say, I'm afraid to take out a loan because I don't have the customers coming in. I'm not very sure that I can repay that loan.
Well, and it's not even so much that. What you're seeing is a lot of banks are requiring, and that's because the regulators are pushing them hard, they're requiring more equity for the same line of credit, or they're lowering the line of credit for the same amount of equity. And these are just small businesses in many cases that have never missed a payment. But there's a huge divide there. You have banks saying they have money to lend, and they're willing and ready to lend, but you also have small businesses saying that they can't get the capital that they need. That was one of the questions I had for Secretary Geithner. He obviously expressed the same sort of concern that he has seen, but there's still a huge divide, in particular when it comes to new business startups. Now, we're still dealing with an age-old problem, and that is a small business doesn't necessarily have the equity built up to be able to get the funding that they need, and they end up depending a lot of times on themselves or their family members to come up with that funding. But a lot of existing businesses just simply aren't looking to expand right now because of the uncertainty, and that's what it keeps coming back to. They just don't want to do much in the way of expansion and go out on a limb very far simply because they don't know what the future holds.
Exactly. What about just the idea of customers? People can't get customers right now. If you're a small business, if you're looking for the government for help because of that problem, what do? How can you help them?
Well, again, customers is, that's consumer confidence. And whether or not customers or those individuals out there looking for the goods and services that are being provided, a lot of them are pulling back also. They are kind of holding their cash in reserve, waiting to see what's going to happen. They, too, don't know what health care is going to cost. They, too, don't know what their taxes are going to do. They don't know what the future of the economy holds. So that's part of the problem, is the consumer confidence out there. And again, until we start to see this economy grow, I think you're going to have a hard time seeing consumers go out and spending a lot of money on things that they don't necessarily need. They're making those decisions. If we don't really need that right now, let's just kind of let's do without it for a while and try to be very frugal.
Yeah. All right. Well, Congressman, we really appreciate you coming on the show and taking the time to let us know what's going on over there and giving us your thoughts.
Thank you very much.